All right. Well, this afternoon we're going to take up material in Chapter 7, and this is really going to require your greatest attention. I know that it's after lunch, and everybody's kind of relaxed a little bit after the test, but I want you to try to apply yourself in this next hour, because what we're going to look at in Chapter 7 are all of the major variations to the imperfect. And you know what we mean by that? We mean all of those verbs like, that end up just having missing root letters and so forth. So we're going to look at all of these in overview. And tonight we'll do the exercises, exercise 7A, parsing the major variations on the imperfect. And then tomorrow we'll review that, and then tomorrow afternoon look at the translation and perhaps the writing in Hebrew. So I don't think we'll be having another quiz tomorrow at all. I want to focus all of your attention on being able to parse these things. We're not memorizing paradigms. We're doing this for the sake of recognition. So we will be focusing on that for today and tomorrow. Tests we'll probably hand back tomorrow afternoon. I think Bartel will want to look at them before we hand them back, and since he wrote the test, he'll probably want to be the one to talk about it. And I don't think he'll be back for the morning session tomorrow, so probably get them back tomorrow afternoon. All right, major variations of the imperfect. These fall into three general categories that you should already be familiar with. First, those types of verbs where there's some variation in the first position. We've already encountered that to some extent already with those verbs that are first nun. We've had natan as an example. Now, we didn't really encounter any variations in the first position into perfect. Because in the perfect, we're adding things on the end of the verb, so nothing changes at the front of the verb. But now, because natan is first nun, when we start adding things to the front of the verb, we'll have some changes there. We also have a new type of verb, one that we didn't encounter before, that is verbs that are first position yod. These verbs will also have some variations, and the variations will occur in the front of the verb, not at the end, because these are first position weak. We also have verbs that are weak in the second position. We've seen these already, hollow verbs. They fall into several categories. Those that are middle wow, kum was the example we've already seen. Those that are middle with a long O, that is wow with a long O, as in bo, well, again we've already seen that in the perfect. And those that are middle yod, as in seen. Yeah, we've already encountered all of these in the perfect, and there'll be nothing new here, no new types, just new with regard to what they do in the imperfect. And the changes that we'll see here will be pointing changes because of the fact that we have a single syllable with the two-letter root rather than multiple syllables with a three-letter root. And finally, we have those verbs that are weak in the third position. We only have one type of those, and that is those that are third position hey. And we'll use bana as our example. And as in the perfect in this case, the changes in pointing will happen at the back end of the word, not in the front or in the middle of the word. So this is where we're going. We're going to look in this period at all of these. That's why I beg your most concerted attention in this period, because we're going to get quite a dose of things that will, about 2/3 of the way through the class, appear to be about ready to overwhelm you. But hopefully by the end of the class we can help sort it out so that you won't have too many problems with these. Okay, first position nun verbs in the imperfect. Our strong verb form of the imperfect is yiktol in the third masculine singular. That should be pretty clear to you now. If we were going to ask what would we expect to find with natan, we might suggest, or let's begin actually not with natan, but with another verb, nafal, which means to fall. The reason we're going to do that is because Natan actually is weak in two positions, right? It's not only first nun, but third nun. So I don't want to complicate things too much at the beginning, so we'll begin with Nafal. But if we ask, what would we expect to happen with Nafal, we see that the first position nun now closes a syllable, right? The syllable, the word is yin fol. Actually, it should be yin pol, but I've left the dagish out here, I see, as I typed. So pardon that typo. Should be yin pol, but the nun closes a syllable, has a silent schwa beneath it. So what's going to happen to it? Yeah, you know this, and this is nothing new conceptually. The nun is going to assimilate to a pei, right? So at the first stage, if we were writing this out very laboriously, yin pol would become yip pol, and then finally the two peis written together with a dagish forte in the root letter. So what we have here is a letter that's dropped out and whose presence is indicated by a dagish forte. Note in this form, we have a dagish in the pei. It should have been in the first form as well, but as I said, I typo left it out. Must have been my student assistant who did that, right? In this case, the dagish in this middle form is a dagish lene. It's there in the pei, but only because the letter is preceded by a silent schwa. So this is a dagish lene. In the form that we actually see this word occurring, however, it's a dagish forte. Represents the pei that's dropped out. This should cause you no conceptual problems. This is nothing new in terms of learning. It's just seeing that it happens with these first nun verbs as well. So the call imperfect of nafal is yipol. This is what you want to see when you look at this verb. Okay? You see that you have a hirik beneath the first letter, beneath the preformative, and a dagish forte in the root letter, the first root letter that you encounter. The dagish forte, you know it has to be a dagish forte because it's preceded by a vowel. That tells you a letter has dropped out. In this case, that letter is going to be a nun. So, so that should be no problem for you. It's just a matter of getting used to seeing it and looking at that nun and seeing it there. Okay, so from nafal, we get the call imperfect yipol. And if that's all there was to the story, we move on and live happily ever after. But we have a few other minor complications. First, let's look at the form nasa. This verb is first nun, but what is it also? Not only first nun, but third aleph, okay, or third ayin, third guttural in this case. What usually happens with verbs that are third guttural? What do gutturals prefer? A vowels, right. And so what's going to happen here is we're not going to end up with the form yiso that we might expect, but instead the holum is going to be replaced by patha. Okay, so what we have here, the form yisa is a, looks odd, it doesn't have the holum there, but the pathak arises simply because it's followed by a guttural, and gutturals prefer A-class vowels. But note, you still have the same hirik at the front of the word and the same dagish forte there. Finally, we have our old friend, Natan. Now, here, if we ask, what's this going to become in the imperfect, we would expect now for the nun to drop out and show up as a dagish forte in the tau. But in this case, we have a new wrinkle. You remember that in the